I just wanted to touch on the purpose, the intent behind having court at all. Like, why did court even come about? What's the purpose? Why does court exist? Kind of, what's the motive behind it all? And so I think if you do research, you'll find out that court came about because people would have a dispute, like, oh, I feel this way and someone else feels that way. And so they would hold court. They would have, judge and people, sometimes jurors, come in and they hear the case from both sides. And they say, well, let's get all the facts here and see what's actually going on because these two people can't agree. That's the purpose of court. Heather believes that the purpose of court is to file paperwork in the right order, tell the right kind of lies, and fuck people over, because that's, I guess, her impression of what happens in court, probably based on her experience working in law offices and dealing with their style of court. The true nature of court is to hear truth and establish justice. And that's the part that Heather lost sight of, is that the whole purpose of the people that she's been appealing to, the police and the judges, their whole purpose is to find the truth and execute justice. Now, unfortunately, our system doesn't work that way all the time because of inefficiencies and laziness, complacency, and just too much power, essentially. Courts have gotten in the position where they don't have to serve the people anymore. Really, it's just about, look, we're going to have the power, we're going to do what we want to do and what works for us, and the people are going to be, a byproduct, aside. In most cases, I would say. I don't want to stop myself and say, well, maybe some cases, but I'm going to say in most cases, our court system does not serve the people in order to find truth and serve justice. The justice system in most cases just simply serves itself. It serves prosecutors in criminal court who have a 97 or 98% conviction rate because they basically just trump up charges on everybody way more than what they're actually guilty of, so that they will plead guilty to something down close to what they're actually guilty of. A lot of times people plead guilty to stuff they're not guilty of, like I did. I pled guilty to get out of jail after 94 days. I pled guilty to terroristic threatening, and my attorney said, you shouldn't plead to this, but I'd been in jail for 94 days. I was tired of it, and I said, what difference does it make? I'm going to plead guilty to the smashing the window, which was whatever, I can't remember what it's called, criminal mischief. If I'm going to plead guilty to criminal mischief and have that on my record, what difference does it make if I have terroristic threatening? And he said, well, you didn't actually threaten to kill Alan Hill. You didn't actually commit that crime, terroristic threatening. You committed the smashing the window and mischief, criminal mischief, but you didn't commit the terroristic threatening. So I think that we should, stand our ground on this. And I said, look, bro, I haven't seen my kids in 94 days. I'm ready to get the fuck out of here. Just sign the paperwork and get me out of here. So he had me out of there 2 days later because I pled guilty to something I didn't actually do. And that was basically just being strong-armed. That was after, bear in mind, that was because my 8th Amendment was being violated by the judges and cops in Washington County. I was being held on a $500,000 bond for a Class D felony. Okay, so since my rights were being violated, my civil rights were being violated, I copped out. I copped a plea and got out. And that's what everybody does, because everybody's rights are being violated. Now, that wasn't actually what I wanted to talk about here. What I wanted to talk about was the fact that the court system that Heather has used has been based on the fact that she knows that it's inefficient and that it doesn't do its job right. So she said, well, I know how this works. Whoever lies the best, or actually most of the time, just whoever lies first, whoever lies the fastest is the one, especially if you come on real hard and you're fucking with somebody who doesn't like to do this. See, like me. If you start fucking with somebody who doesn't really like to do court and paperwork and whatever, most of the time you just win because they just decide, you know what, I don't want to even fucking do this, which is kind of my position. I'm just like, look, Heather, I'm just going to check out until you get fucking real, man. all this crazy bullshit nonsense that you're running, I'm like, look, I'm just going to check out. I'm not even going to show up in court. I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to fuck with you. Hoping that she would eventually just calm the fuck down. Realize that I'm not going to take the kids away from you, but that's what this is all about. She's terrified that I'm going to take the kids away from her because she's such an unfit parent, because she's so abusive and neglectful, and because she's a criminal who commits fraud and parental alienation. She perjures herself, and because she's got so many crimes under her belt, she tries to stay ahead of the game through this preemptive action type shit where she goes to the court and claims that I'm doing something so that she can have the kids jerked from me and have me thrown in jail because she knows that I fucking hate cops in the court. I don't say I hate cops as individuals. I have cousins and friends that are police. I like the human beings, but the institution of police and courts, I'm not happy with right now. Let's just put it that way. She knows that I don't use it, just like I don't use credit. I don't deal with banks either. I don't have credit for the same reason I don't file paperwork in court, because I don't have any confidence in those institutions. They're out to screw people. Maybe they're not out to screw people, but they're screwing people out of just neglect and complacency. So Heather likes this. She uses banks all the time. She takes loans out in her name and other people's name and then runs them all up and defaults on them and runs off with all the money. That's called fraud, and she does it all the time. All the time. Matter of fact, that's all she's ever done with banking since day one is get a line of credit, run it up, buy a car, buy whatever, and then not pay it, not pay for it. You know, have your house foreclosed, have your cars repossessed, have all of your credit cards, every single one that you've ever opened since you were like 18, defaulted on, bankruptcy. You know, this is fraud. This is not just, oh, I don't know how to manage money. It's fraud. She's a thief. Well, the only thing I've ever done to Heather is have the knowledge. That's really it. I have the knowledge to expose her for what she is, and so she uses the children to extort me. And I've gone along with this for 18 years now, 17 years now, to try to protect the relationship between myself and my children. And at the point now where I'm down to the last year and a half, I haven't seen my children or talked to my children at all. I'm done. It's time for the court to hear truth. It's time for the court to execute justice. And I don't just mean between me and you and my kids anymore. I'm talking about justice for every fucking thing. Fraud, parental alienation, anything else that I can think of. That's what court's for. Court is going to hear the truth. They're going to hear all of the facts, and then they're going to execute justice based on those